has now begun for 6 defendants, and that includes rapper Young Thug, real name Jeffrey Lamar Williams. Now, he and his co-defendants are charged under Georgia's RICO, or Racketeering Act, namely that they are all part of this criminal enterprise, that they're engaged in murder, robbery, assault, and so forth. Young Thug himself, he faces 8 charges, and he is considered by prosecutors to be the leader of this criminal enterprise. And according to prosecutors, that criminal enterprise, or gang, is known as YSL, or Young Slime Life. Now, the prosecutors allege that Young Thug started YSL back in 2012. It's also known as Young Stoner Life and is the name of the artist's music label.
In the ongoing Georgia racketeering trial involving rapper Young Thug, born Jeffrey Williams, and members of Young Slime Life, YSL, a significant development unfolded this week. The trial faced a temporary halt after images of some jurors' faces leaked online, prompting safety concerns. The presiding judge, Ural Glanville, took swift action by requesting members of the media to cease recording inside the courtroom. The prosecutors have accused Young Thug, along with more than 24 others, of conspiring to violate Georgia's Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. The charges also include allegations of gang affiliation, drug offenses, and gun crimes. The rapper is standing trial alongside 5 co-defendants.
And what I expect the evidence to show in this case is that YSL, the group made up of the defendants sitting before you today, along with other both indicted and unindicted co-conspirators, the group calling itself Young Slime Life, dominated the Cleveland Avenue community of Fulton County. They created a crater in the middle of Fulton County's Cleveland Avenue community that sucked in the youth, the innocence, even the lives of some of its youngest members. Young Slime Life came about and consisted of 3 or more people when it began. 3 or more people who were willing to and who did commit criminal street gang activity, that is crimes, that were intended to further the purposes and advance the directives of YSL itself. So YSL, as the evidence will show, they didn't move individually. The members and associates of YSL, they moved like a pack, with the defendant Jeffrey Williams as its head.
The prosecution contends that Young Thug led YSL not only as a music collective, but also as a criminal street gang. YSL shares an acronym with the rapper's music label, Young Stoner Life. However, Young Thug's defense team asserts his innocence, vehemently denying the allegations.
It's January 16, 2022, and Jeffrey releases this. It's on Jeffrey's Instagram account, and the prosecution is targeting, that's Jeffrey taking a selfie in the mirror, and he has his hand up, and the indictment that the prosecution had the grand jury return says he's holding up a blood sign, and that furthers this conspiracy. There's nothing wrong with holding up a blood sign, but that's not a blood sign. The blood sign is like this, it looks like a B. That is a P. Jeffrey's fingers are down. And what you'll learn is that Jeffrey just released with Sergio Kitchens, performer known as Gunna, a song that is wildly popular. It's around the globe. It's called Pushing P. And it's positivity. It means any circumstance you're in, if you think positively about something, you can make it through. You're pushing positivity. You're pushing P. Jeffrey is showing the P.
During the trial, the first witness, Atlanta Police Detective Mark Belknap, took the stand. However, A 10-minute break called by Judge Glanville extended to approximately 45 minutes, during which attorneys from both sides met with the judge. It was later revealed that some jurors had been inadvertently shown on the trial's live stream, leading to the leak of still shots showing their faces online. Judge Glanville addressed the issue by prohibiting the recording of images, but allowed the recording of audio, citing security issues and the inadvertent exposure of jurors. The trial then resumed with Belknap's testimony.
Detective Belknap, when I asked you earlier regarding have you investigated people for words and you paused, would you explain why it was that you paused?
I always try to be as fair and...
I'll stand the question. Or stand the answer, I should say.
Can I?
You can rephrase now.
Okay. Asking the question about investigating people for words, without getting into your fairness, would you explain to the jury why it was that you paused?
Some of our investigations involve words that may arise to the level of terroristic threats. So we certainly do sometimes investigate crimes that are committed only with words.
All right. And so if I'm not talking about someone making a direct threat to another individual in person, if I'm instead talking about an individual's song that is released over the radio, have you or do you know whether it is the practice of your agency to go out and investigate or arrest artists based on the lyrics that they have written in a song?
Objection for the jury to determine. I'll overrule the objection, sir.
Objection.
Overruled.
No, it's absolutely not our practice.
And is there anything that you deem criminal with respect to singing or releasing any particular song?
As a generality, no, ma'am.
The trial has been eagerly anticipated and has stirred controversy due to the prosecution's use of Young Thug's lyrics as evidence. This approach is uncommon, especially in targeting a high-profile music figure.
To that extent, the court has considered the state's motion in limine to admit evidence of lyrics, the state's supplemental motion in limine to admit evidence of lyrics at trial, the state's amended particularized motion in limine to admit evidence of lyrics at trial, the opposition to the state's second supplemental, and motion in limine to admit evidence of lyrics at trial filed by and on behalf of Mr. Kendrick and argued by Mr. Weinstein, as well as Jeffrey Williams' motion in limine number 2, 1, and 2 to motion to strike, as well as Mr. Shart's oral motion, and the court will also consider it for any other lyrics that may be sought to be admissible in the trial of this matter. Specifically, I have considered the arguments of the state as well as the arguments of the defense. I'll kind of go through those in just a second. The state has argued that this particular gang lyrics or evidence is admissible for several reasons.
The indictment, filed in May 2022, listed lyrics from 9 Young Thug songs as acts allegedly furthering the YSL conspiracy. Additionally, social media photos of Young Thug wearing red and posing with alleged YSL gang hand signs were presented.
A young woman who had nothing to do with either YSL or any of their opposition was gunned down by people trying to get back at YSL for what they did. You'll hear evidence that after the murder of Donovan Thomas, no less than 50 shootings occurred over the course of the next several months.
Despite defense arguments that lyrics are constitutionally protected speech and could be unfairly prejudicial, Judge Glanville allowed prosecutors to introduce 17 sets of lyrics as evidence of criminal acts. Notably, fellow rapper Gunna, also known as Sergio Kitchens, is among the defendants. Arrested on a racketeering charge in May 2022, Gunna entered an Alford plea and was released in December 2022. Young Thug's brother, Quantavious Greer, Unfunk, listed as a co-defendant, pleaded guilty in December 2022 and received a little more than 9 years in prison.
I'm going to revoke the balance of 9 years and 6 months, and you will serve that in the Department of Corrections, and that will be the sentence of the court.